In my enthusiasm, I forgot to give charity. We have to give charity every day. Very important thing. I saw this from Rabbi Zilberstone, who gives very good classes, by the way. Zusha Silverstone, right? Yes. So Silverstone. I'll look it up anyway. Here we have giving charity. Charity brings the Moshiach. Charity protects us from all bad things. Charity ends the exile and brings the redemption. Charity. Here's the coin. Here, just so you don't think I'm fooling you here. Coin. Charity. And put it into the charity box. Good. And let us also say a word of prayer. This is in the Hallel. Thank you, God. You are infinitely good. Your kindness is infinite and is to the world. Thank you. Oh, let's go. So what have we learned up to now? In the Dvar Malchut. This is a speech of the Lubavitcher Rebbe, which he gave in 1992, the beginning of 1992, a preparation for Purim, and also talking about this week's Torah portion, where the Jewish people contributed they gave donations to the tabernacle. And the Rebbe explained why was the first thing that Moses requested, that God told Moses to request, was gold. He said the reason is because every Jew is gold. Every Jew is gold. Why is every Jew gold? Because they were all at Mount Sinai. When God gave the Torah, all the Jews were there, and that transformed all of the Jews to be gold. And that is the connection, the inner connection to the month of Adar. The month of Adar, it says, is a healthy month for the Jewish people. Just 1 second, I got something over here. Is the healthy month for the Jewish people. In other words, what does it mean? That usually the Jewish people have nothing to do with the months and with the zodiac. The Jewish people are above that. They're the one with God. The Jewish people are the sons of God, the brothers of God. We just finished learning. The wife of God. God is the creator of all this stuff, the stars and everything like that. What do we got to do with that? So he says that's the whole novelty of the month of Adar, that all of the creation also agrees with the Jews. Not that we're above the world, we're in the world, and the world agrees with, helps us to serve God, helps us to be gold. According to this, now we can understand, now we can understand the connection of the month of Adar, the month of Adar, which we says the good to the month to this week's Torah portion, Truma. Now again, Truma is talking about building the tabernacle, again stressing the importance of this physical world and all the items in the physical world, and the ability of the Jewish people to take the physical world, even the most simple Jew, even children, to transform the physical world into a holy temple. Now we can understand we're putting the whole thing together with this week's Torah portion. When the Jews donated and they stood up the tabernacle in the desert, it came to be revealed the power that they received from Mount Sinai, that a Jew, as he is above in the upper worlds, the source. Jewish people are the sons of God. They're the source of their portion of God. Also the same thing, that same, each and every Jew is also not just in their source, they're all good and they're all holy, but so it is also below in the physical world. When they are in their physical bodies, that the very existence, even in this physical world where possessions are important, nevertheless, a Jew in this physical world is gold. And gold are the first letters of Zeh Noten Bari, giving in a healthy way. You're not giving because there's a danger, impending danger, because the danger has already arrived, and you're giving charity to save yourself from it, which that's also true. But the best way to give charity is giving charity just because you want to give. not to protect yourself or to save yourself. Zeh anoten, that's what it is. Zeh anoten bari. This is giving when you're healthy. Zeh anoten akor. This gives the power that the fact of the matter is that every single Jew in their source comes from the essence of God. And not only that, when they're in the world, that source is revealed. A Jew in this world is gold, giving to others in a healthy way. This gives the power to the month of Adar. Then in the month of Adar, that was when the Mishkan was finished. Remember, we learned this a short history lesson. The Jewish people got out of Egypt on Passover, the month of Nisan. Excuse me. The month of Nisan. They went through the months of the year. The next Nisan, 1 year later, minus 2 weeks, the Jews got out of Egypt on the 15th day of Nisan. And 1 year later, the first day of Nisan, the tabernacle opened up for business. They started bringing the sacrifices. So it must have been that before that they were preparing. What's the month right before Nisan? Adar. So Adar was the month when the tabernacle was completed. It didn't open for business. It opened for business after Adar, the first day of Nisan, the next month. So it says then afterwards there were what's called this, and after that there were the 7 days of Miluim. That was at the last 7 days of the month of Adar. Then Moses said took 7 days to inaugurate the tabernacle from the 26th day of Adar until the first day of Nisan. And on the first day of Nisan, it opened up. So it ends up that the month of Adar was devoted to finishing the tabernacle. Therefore, the month of Adar, it says, Bari Mazal, it's Mazal, it's blessing of that month, the zodiac, whatever, of that month. Even the zodiac was healthy. And since then, the same thing with every single Jew. The Mazal of every Jew is lucky in the month of Adar. Shagam kafishu kashurim dargat mazal, that the Jewish people, even how they are connected to the stars, the zodiac, the physical world, they're also what's called ze anoten bari. They are able to be healthy, full of godliness, and to give to others. That's the month of Adar. That's why it says, and the connection to what it says in the Mishnah, in Ta'anit, that when Adar comes in, the month of Adar, you have to increase happiness. Because in that month was finished, there comes in a connection, Adar, it says that in the month of Adar is Bari Mazli. It says it's the month when if you have a court case, you should take the court case because it's a lucky month for the Jews. So happiness and being lucky in the world are both the same thing, and that's the month of Adar. Hasimcha, the greatest happiness there can possibly be by a Jew is Kasher Yodea, when he knows. Shabakal Matzav, that no matter what situation that Jew finds himself in, Afilu Lamata Mata, even in the lowest of the lows, Ba'olam, in the physical world, Shechitzoni Uto, that seemingly is godless. Kehelam v'hestra al lakus. You look around in the world, you don't see any sign that there's God. The world is nature. Huh? The biggest scientists in the world, the most genius philosophers and intellectuals, academics, right? Mathematicians and just incredible genius people have minds that they come to the conclusion there's no such thing as God. Makes no sense to believe in God. And they get along okay. They're famous. Everybody knows who they are. right? There's no such thing as God. Look in the world, you can't see any sign that there's God. There's people that believe that there's God. Okay, believe what you want to. It's a psychological thing. Right? The mind is wired that it also comes to some weird conclusions that there's God. That's this physical world. And a Jew, even when he's found in this physical world, where there doesn't seem to be any sign that there's God, God is concealed. Nevertheless, that Jew, every Jew is attached to God. Even a Jew, no matter how low his soul is and how distant it is from any sort of connection to God, who ben Yachid, that Jew is the one son of the King of Kings, God. Every single Jew. And God, Omer, Sharishon Nichasav, that the most important possession that God has is the Jews. And the most important possession that Jews have is what's called Zav, gold. Namely, that a Jew, how he is in this physical world with his physical possessions, are important to God, and every Jew should be rich spiritually and physical in order to give. To give. That's the job of the Jewish people, is to give. To teach, to be a good example, to bless. According to this, it's understood even more how the Gemara equates, how the Gemara compares. It says, says, when the month of Adar comes in, you increase happiness. This sentence comes that you have to increase happiness in Adar. This sentence comes after another sentence, which is not so happy. Says, when the month of comes, you have to minimize your happiness. Of is the month when the temple was destroyed. When of comes in, you have to minimize happiness. And then it says, how does it say? It said, this is in the Talmud, in the Mishnah, in Tainit. Tainit means the days you fast. Fasting days, if there's no rain, when there's trouble for the Jewish people, so you fast. And when it's talking about miserable things that happen, it talks about the destruction of the temple. And it says, when Av comes in, the month of Av, when the temples were destroyed, then you have to minimize your happiness. And just as the same way that you minimize your happiness in Av, you have to, and just throws it in there, you have to, when Adar comes in, you have to increase. What does it even talk about? Say you have to make more happiness in Adar. What do you even compare it to miserable things of? Why even think about it? It should just say in the first of all in the Gemara, the Mishnah, in Megillah, that talks about Purim and Adar. When Adar comes in, you have to be happy. It says no. It puts the sentence in, first of all, in the Mishnah of Tainit, which talks about fast, bad things, and it puts this after, it compares it. It says, just like you're miserable in the month of Av, not you're miserable, but you have to decrease happiness. In the month of Av, you have to increase happiness in the month of Adar. Why? The novelty is, even when you're in darkness, even when you're in the physical world, in Av, and terrible things happen, the temple is destroyed, and God is totally concealed, and the big philosophers and the big whatever his geniuses are saying there's no such thing as God. Nevertheless, all the universities are they could, it's almost like, engraving it in the entrance to the university. There's no such thing as God. God doesn't exist. Yesh b'koach, there is the power of the month of Adar to transform this. That's why it says when Av comes in and you minimize happiness, don't worry about it, because Adar has the power to transform it and increase happiness. Kasher Yehudi, when a person, how do you transform this? When a Jew thinks, the fact, harizeh, that what? That we are emissaries of God. And we are put in the world in order to transform the world. And the world is a very dark place. But when we think about that, that's the reason why we're here. This brings a Jew to tremendous happiness. The simcha kazu, and this happiness, shemashaneh, changes a person's physical life, that he's living in this world, and behetem legidre olam, according to this physical world. You dress like everybody else, maybe a little bit differently, but you have to wear shoes, you have to wear pants, you have to have a job, you have a family, you have children, you have troubles with the children. This child, he wants this, child, he wants this. Sometimes the kids fight. There's taxes, there's difficulties with your next door neighbors, with this. You're living in the world, right? Everybody in the world. Nevertheless, the reason why we're put into the world and why we have these troubles and difficulties and challenges in the world is because that's exactly what God wants, so that we can change it. The way we react to the world in a calm way, in a positive way. This happiness is that it brings about and it permeates every aspect of a person. When a person is positive and happy, all of his life is a happy life. Simcha, the poelas al kol masa, this brings about happiness for everything that happens. There's people get addicted to complaining. People get addicted to feeling angry, to the degree that people look around and try to find things to be angry about. I know people like that. And they try to find things to be bitter about. And you can always find something. There's always something there. This person didn't treat me nice. This way I said hello, he didn't say hello back. Right? I lost some money this morning. I stubbed my toe. I couldn't find my sock. I couldn't find this. Even if everything is okay, it's too hot today. Then the next day it's too cold today. No matter what happens, the person is not satisfied. No, that's terrible. Then there's other people that are the opposite. In everything that happens, they can find something good. And about the bad things, they keep quiet. They try not to pay attention. I have a very good friend that just now he went through he had a stroke, and he was even temporarily paralyzed with it, and he was never miserable, at least not around other people. He was always positive. And one of the things he would say, listen, it's bad enough that I'm paralyzed. I also have to lose my good mood. I have to lose my mood. Famous statement by one of the pupils of Viktor Frankl. The person, he fell down, whatever, he broke his neck, he became a quadriplegic. He couldn't move. He said, I broke my neck, but my neck didn't break me. And as you can always find something positive, no matter how terrible the situation is. Like a soldier. Soldier's in the middle of war. If he looks for the bad, then he gets scared, then he gets depressed, then he gets miserable. It could even become to be a traitor, who knows? Run away, a coward. So he has to be positive all the time in the most miserable situations. And the whole idea of being positive, happy, simcha, is shapoelet, that it permeates everything in a person. When a person is happy, all of his life becomes happy. Until what? Shimcha, it brings happiness into everything he does. Everything that he comes in contact with, he makes that thing positive, and he makes other people happy also that are around him. And this happiness makes more success in everything he does, like we can see clearly. Right? You're a salesman. You go into sell your product, and you say, listen, I've been turned down 5 times today. Probably this guy's also going to turn me down. And it usually that works. If you're negative, it's going to be negative. But if you look at your product they're trying to sell, just give an example, and you see the positive aspects of it and why it's even on the market and what needs it fills and how it does the job, and you start to think about it and believe in it, then you have a much greater chance of selling your product. And if you don't, at least you didn't lose your mood. You didn't go crazy. Kolomar, in other words, no saflakach, in addition to that by means of happiness, you become what's called ben olam haba. Like the rabbis say, there's a Talmud. Where is it? In Tainit. In Tainit. It says that A weird story on Tiny. What does it say? There was Rebbe Yeshua ben Levi, and Elijah the prophet used to come to him. Elijah the prophet was like in the first temple, the middle of the first temple. And Rebbe Yeshua ben Levi, that was after the destruction of the second temple. So this was like, bare minimum, it was like 500 years later. And Elijah the prophet would come to him all the time, and he would tell him all sorts of secrets and bring us. So he said, I want you to show me who in the marketplace is going to go to heaven for sure. And he said, okay, see those two people? They're going to go to heaven for sure. And there was all these wise men walking and, big rabbis and genius people. So those two people for sure. Who are they? Two jokers. They went around and made people happy. Huh? They went around and made people happy. And there were people, comedians, that came in front of the Rebbe, Jewish comedians that weren't religious, that left, and the Rebbe said, thank you for making people happy. In other words, the Rebbe appreciated a little bit of good inside of this person, but it was genuinely good. So when you're happy and you make other people happy, this is a big blessing. And the best type of happiness is if your happiness comes because you believe in the Creator. Where is it? Where do we have the 71? Oh, here we are. Then that person means that person for sure is going to go to heaven. We said even heaven on earth. And the Indian said this is found also in when Rosh Chodesh Adar in this year. This by us right now. When is the first days of Adar? Back then in 1992, and it's the same exact thing now. It's on Tuesday and Wednesday. It says in the Gemara that Tuesday, the third day of the week and the fourth day of the week. In Judaism, there aren't numbers. There's letters. Letters represent numbers. You look in the Talmud. The Talmuds don't have the pages aren't numbered. Now they are because they're printed, but it used to be just letters. Every page was Aleph, Beit, and every page had two sides. So side one, side two of page number 2. The Gemaras all start with page 2. They don't start with page 1. All the Gemaras start with page 2. So it says that's the third and the fourth day of the week. We don't call it Tuesday and Wednesday. It's called Yom Gimel and Yom Daled. Gimel Daled, the third and the fourth letter of the Hebrew alphabet. It says Gimel, the word Gimel means to give. And that's what the word Gimel means, Gimel, to give. Gemilat Chasadim. And Dalit means poverty. Dalut. A Jew, even how he is found in the world, and even if he's found poor, spiritually poor, physically poor, monetarily poor, nevertheless, Nimshach Gimel, God gives him the Gimel, the giving from above. Kach Shana says Chibur, so that it's joined the Gimel with the Dalet. That's this, when Adar falls on Yom Gimel Dalet, that's God. The word God means good luck. God Gudenu. It's one of the children of Yaakov when he was born, so his mother gave him that name. Gave him Leah, God. Pirusho means mazal, good luck. Buri mazal, that's the luck of the Jewish people. So if so, the month of Adar is a lucky month, and when it falls on Tuesday and Wednesday, that's Gimel and Dalet, that's more luck. And even more, the best luck it says, is Zahav, Notain Bari, the one who is giving is healthy. So it's a month that we have a lot and that we can give a lot. This is all hinted at by these different hints that the world is giving to us. But the world, it's not saying that this is necessary because of the days that are found, that the Tuesday is the lucky day. And the fact is that Adar is a lucky month. And the fact is that Tuesday and Wednesday are lucky days. And it's represented by this. But the hints that are given to us is just telling us what there is. Ubapratius, and especially, we can say that this idea of Gimel Dalim, giving to the poor, this indicates on the highest situation of the Jewish people that was brought about in the giving of the Torah. Why? Because we said in the giving of the Torah, every Jew became gold. And therefore, every Jew became rich with the ability to give and to contribute, to add on to the world. That's the Jewish people. Like it says, what is Gimel Dalim? Giving to the poor. It says, it doesn't say Gimel Rushim. There's another word for poor, and that is a rush. A resh is also called poor. At first glance, the word rushim, a rush, means a poor person. He is more needy than a person who's dal. The word rush is talking about a person at the lowest level of poverty. Like it's known that even though that the letter dalid and resh, both of them are attached to the same mean poverty. But if you look at the two letters, dalid, which means poverty, and resh, which means poverty, well, these are two letters in the Hebrew alphabet. And the letter dalid has a little point in the back of it. See over here? And the letter resh, that's the letter resh, it doesn't have that. It's round. Well, that little point in the back is showing something very, very important. The resh, it says he has nothing. And this is the dali dalut. This is what's called the poorest of the poor. How? The explanation is like this. The difference between the letter of dalid and resh, dalid means something is poor, but resh means someone who's even poorer than the poor. The letter resh, this hints at surat, the shape of the letter. Surat dalid, the shape of the letter dalid, is very similar to the letter resh. Both letters have two sides, a top and a bottom. They're open on this side, same thing the resh. The difference is the dalid has a little point in the back of it. See over here, little dalid. See that? That's a little letter dalid. A little point in the back of it. Okay, now we have to remember that the world was created from God's letters. This little point in the back of the dalid, that hints at what's called bitul, a connector, like a plug that you can plug into something else. That shows how the dalid can plug into something that's above him. Dalid, that represents the aspect of God's what's called kingship. I think it's the wrong word. It is kingship, yeah. Ideally, the king of the country is the poorest person in the country. Why? Because a genuine king, talking about a genuine king is supposed to be a person that has no concern whatsoever about himself. The whole purpose of a king is only for the people. He's below everybody. He's how do you say, owes everyone. The king. It's the same thing the Jewish people. The Jewish people are called a nation of kings, right? Nation of kings. Why? Because the king is supposed to be a person that his whole function is only to benefit the people and lead the people. His money is not his money. His family he doesn't think about, only as far as it's concerned with the people. So in that aspect, the king is the lowest person in the country. He owes everybody. That's the aspect of dalut. Dalut. But it says that a dalit means he has nothing of his own. But because it has this little point in the back, that shows why is the king the lowest? Because he's connected to God. He's connected to God. He feels that he's just like, how do you say, a pipe, that godliness is coming into the world, and his egotism, it closes the pipe. How do you say, stuffs up the pipe? Sometimes it clogs up. Oh. That's the idea of gomel dalim, giving to the poor. Well, bavoda and serving God, this little point in the back of the dalid, this is what's called the point of Judaism. That's inside of every Jew. Every Jew somewhere down deep knows that he's connected to God. No matter where he is, he's attached to. Yesterday, like I go every day to the hospital nearby, and I go around on the outside, and there were two older Jews sitting. They looked like they were, maybe they were even professors or they had been generals or something like that. They were older, maybe they were in their 60s, who knows? They looked good, they looked healthy, They were sitting there. I said, does anyone here want to put on tefillin? And one of them said, I'll put on. And the other one looked at him like, what are you doing? Like, he couldn't believe, because Israel is very based on atheism. The Zionist principle is very, very rooted, very deeply. It's the foundation of it is there's no God, there's no holiness, the Jewish people aren't holy. That's what Zionism is. And the big leaders of it, right, generally speaking, they, how do you say, they benefited from this idea. They lived from this idea that there's no God. And suddenly this guy, he stood up and said, I want to put on tefillin. So his friend thought, at first maybe he was joking around. And he said, no, once in a while I put on tefillin. And it was like, you not only are doing it now, once in a while you do it at home. I saw that he wasn't, and the fellow he put on tefillin, I put tefillin on with him, right? Put tefillin, and you could tell that he wasn't doing it for any reason. He was doing it because he felt somehow that he wasn't alone, that he wanted to connect to the Creator. This is a guy, he doesn't, I imagine he doesn't keep Shabbos, doesn't enter. He's not doing it to go to heaven. And I don't think he was doing it to heal his mother or something that was sick. You can't tell why a person is doing it. But the other person was genuinely surprised. I saw the other guy was really, really surprised. Really surprised. Because there's the little point of Judaism that's inside of a Jew that says, I'm going to put on tefillin because I'm a Jew. Not that I'm the part of the Jewish nation. A Jew has something to do with the commandments. So that's the little point in the back of the Daled, which shows on how a Jew is connected to the essence of God no matter what. And that's what gives him, connects to the giver of God, that even Kol Yehudi, no matter where he is, no matter how poor he is, nevertheless, he has this little point in the back, which is connected, that's like little plug, which connects to the essence of God. Where did he get that from? When the Torah was given. Like we said before, that then was negated the idea that there's the spiritual worlds and the physical worlds. All of a sudden, it all became godly. From then on, it wasn't relevant that the Jewish people would ever be poor again. Kolomar, in other words, even before the Torah was given, there was godliness in the world, but then it was only in a way of Gomel Rishoyim. The world remained poor. It wasn't really connected to God. It was like a resh, like the letter resh. There was no connection, that the physical worlds remained physical, which is not the case when God gave the Torah on Mount Sinai. Suddenly, everyone saw that God cares about the world, that the world is permanently, essentially very important to God. God revealed himself here. That joined the world, the upper world, the essence of God, to the lower world. Okay, let's talk about this, God willing. We'll do this tomorrow. We'll continue this tomorrow, God willing, Yud Aleph. Now let's do the Yom Yom.